First contact and catastrophe. Captain Ilara Way stood on the observation deck of the research vessel Horizon, watching as the distant star of the Nix system grew larger in the view screen. After 3 months in deep space, they had finally arrived at their destination, the source of the mysterious signal that had captivated Earth's scientific community for the past year. Signal strength increasing, Captain, announced Communications Officer Ravi Sharma, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Whatever's broadcasting, we're getting closer to it. Ilara nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the starlight. At 38, she was the youngest captain in the International Space Coalition, with a reputation for brilliant improvisation and unwavering calm. Both qualities had been essential for this mission, humanity's first venture beyond the solar system, made possible by the recently developed Hawking drive. Dr. Chen, what are your thoughts? Ilara asked, turning to the ship's chief scientist. Dr. Maya Chen adjusted her glasses, scrutinizing the data streaming across her tablet. The signal contains mathematical sequences too precise to be natural. This is definitely artificial intelligence at work, and far beyond our current capabilities. The bridge crew fell silent, the implications hanging heavy in the recycled air. They weren't alone in the universe. The question was, were they about to meet friends or foes? I'm detecting a massive object in orbit around the fourth planet, announced Tomas Rodriguez, the ship's navigator. And it's moving, changing course to intercept us. Ilara straightened. Yellow alert. Maintain course but prepare for immediate withdrawal if necessary. She turned to Dr. Chen. Send the first contact protocol message on all frequencies. Hours later, humanity had its answer. The vessel, a massive crystalline structure that seemed to shimmer between states of matter, responded with a message in perfect English, decoded and translated from the same mathematical language as the original signal. Greetings, Terrans. We are the Meridian Collective. We have observed your species for some time and welcome you to the Galactic community. We invite representatives aboard our vessel to establish formal relations. The decision to accept was made not just by Ilara, but by Earth's unified government via quantum communication. The historic significance was too great to decline. Ilara would lead a delegation of 5. Herself, Dr. Chen, Ravi, their security chief Commander Jackson, and xenobiologist Dr. Layla Nasser. The Meridian ship was a marvel of technology, with architecture that seemed to defy physics. Their hosts, tall, luminescent beings with 6 limbs and compound eyes that refracted light like prisms, called themselves the Archivists. They explained that the Meridian Collective was an alliance of 23 spacefaring species dedicated to knowledge preservation and peaceful coexistence. Your development of the Hawking drive triggered our protocols for first contact, explained the lead archivist, who had taken the name Lumina for easier communication. You've joined a select group of species capable of true interstellar travel. Everything seemed perfect, too perfect, as Dr. Chen whispered to Ilara during a private moment. They know too much about us. Our language, culture, even our physics theories. I'm getting research lab vibes, not diplomatic reception. Ilara had the same unease, but diplomatic protocols demanded they proceed with open minds. When the Meridians offered technology exchanges, particularly advancements in energy production and medicine, Earth's government was ecstatic. The first trade agreements were signed within days. 3 weeks later, the Meridians arrived at Earth with a fleet of 30 ships, bringing their promised technological gifts. They were welcomed as saviors, with global celebrations marking humanity's entry into a larger cosmic community. The attack came without warning. On what became known as Darkfall Day, the Meridian ships simultaneously deployed what they called harmonic resonators in Earth's atmosphere. These devices emitted a frequency that interfered with all electronic systems, not just disabling them, but converting them into weapons. Power plants exploded. Vehicles became death traps. Communication networks fell silent. Medical equipment failed catastrophically. Within hours, Earth's infrastructure collapsed. Within days, millions were dead. The Meridian ground forces, biomechanical drones controlled by the ships above, began systematic resource extraction and human containment. The Horizon, returning from the Nix system, emerged from hyperspace to find their homeworld under alien occupation. Ilara made the gut-wrenching decision to retreat rather than attempt a futile rescue. They needed to understand what had happened and why. "They lied to us," Dr. Chen said, her voice hollow as they watched Earth's night side, once bright with city lights, now dark except for the pulsing energy signatures of Meridian mining operations. Everything was a lie. Commander Jackson slammed his fist against the bulkhead. "We led them straight to us, showed them all our weaknesses." "Not all," Ravi interjected suddenly, looking up from his console. "Something's wrong with their resonators. They're having to constantly recalibrate. The effect isn't uniform." Dr. Nasser, who had been silently monitoring Earth's biosphere changes, spoke up. "It's our magnetosphere. Earth's magnetic field is naturally fluctuating in ways their technology can't fully compensate for. And there's something else. Reports of resistance. Pockets of functioning technology where there shouldn't be any." Ilara leaned forward. "Show me." The data revealed scattered areas where human resistance had emerged, using technologies that somehow functioned despite the Meridian resonators. The Horizon established covert communication with the largest group, based in the mountains of what was once Norway. "We don't understand it ourselves," explained Dr. Victor Okafor, the resistance leader, via a quantum-encrypted channel that bypassed conventional communications. "But some people seem naturally resistant to their tech. Their bodies create some kind of counter-frequency. We're using them to shield our operations. Human bioelectrical fields." Dr. Chen whispered, realization dawning. "Our nervous systems operate on frequencies the Meridians didn't account for. That's why they're struggling with the resonators. They're calibrated for technology, not biology." For the first time since the invasion, Ilara felt a spark of hope. "We need to get to Earth. If we combine what we know about Meridian technology with this natural resistance, we might have a chance." The Horizon couldn't approach Earth directly without being destroyed, but they had something the Meridians didn't expect. A prototype stealth shuttle designed for covert planetary research, with a hull that absorbed rather than reflected scanning frequencies. Ilara led the mission herself, along with Dr. Chen and Commander Jackson. They landed in the Norwegian resistance base, hidden deep within a mountain fortress naturally shielded by iron ore deposits that interfered with Meridian sensors. The base was a remarkable blend of salvage technology and ingenious workarounds. Solar panels converted to novel frequencies powered essential systems. Communication relied on modified quantum entanglement principles rather than conventional radio waves. Most surprising were the shields. Humans whose unique neurological patterns created disruption fields that protected others from Meridian detection. They couldn't explain why some people had this ability while others didn't, but approximately 1 in 500 humans demonstrated the trait. "We think it's related to certain neurological conditions," explained Dr. Okafor. "Many of our shields are on the autism spectrum or have sensory processing differences. Their brains naturally operate on frequencies that interfere with Meridian tech." Ilara shared everything they had learned about the Meridians during first contact, while Dr. Chen analyzed the Resistance's technological adaptations. Together, they began developing what they called the Resilience Protocol, a multi-layered strategy to fight back against the technologically superior invaders. The first breakthrough came when they discovered that human bioelectrical fields could be amplified and projected using modified versions of Earth's own technologies. By combining specific electromagnetic frequencies with the unique patterns generated by the shields, they created devices that could temporarily disable Meridian drones. "It's not enough to defeat them," Commander Jackson said during a strategy session, "but it gives us a fighting chance to expand our resistance." The second breakthrough was even more significant. Dr. Chen, working with resistance engineers, developed a method to use Earth's natural magnetic field as a planetary-scale weapon against the Meridian ships. Their technology relies on quantum coherence, She explained to the assembled resistance leaders. Earth's magnetosphere naturally disrupts this at certain intensities. If we can amplify these disruptions, create a controlled geomagnetic storm, we might be able to disable their ships long enough to mount a coordinated attack. As the resistance prepared for their first major offensive, Ilara received disturbing news from the horizon, still hidden in the outer solar system. More Meridian ships were arriving, dozens more. Whatever the Meridians wanted from Earth, it was valuable enough to commit significant resources. We need to move now, Ilara told the Resistance Council, before they entrench further or bring reinforcements that might operate on different principles. The plan was desperate, but offered their best hope. A simultaneous global uprising, coordinated with a massive geomagnetic pulse generated by devices planted at strategic locations around the planet. The goal wasn't to defeat the Meridians outright, but to disable enough of their technology to capture one of their ships, to turn their own weapons against them. As resistance fighters worldwide prepared for what might be humanity's last stand, Ilara addressed the commanders one final time. The Meridians believe they understand us, that they've calculated every variable and predicted every response. But there's one thing they fail to factor into their equations: our resilience. Throughout human history, we faced extinction-level threats and survived. Not because we're stronger or smarter than every challenge, but because we refuse to accept defeat as final. Tomorrow, we remind them, and ourselves, of what humanity does best. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. The next morning, Operation Resilience began. Across the globe, resistance cells emerged from hiding to attack Meridian extraction operations. Sacrificing secrecy for impact, they deployed their limited anti-Meridian weapons with precision, targeting command nodes and energy relays. As the Meridians redirected resources to counter these unexpected attacks, the magnetic pulse generators activated. The sky itself seemed to ripple as Earth's magnetosphere surged with artificial intensity, creating aurora displays visible even in daylight. Aboard the Meridian command ship, systems began to fail as quantum coherence collapsed. The vessel, a crystalline structure the size of a small city, drifted from its orbital position, its gravitic engines fluctuating. This was the moment Ilara and her strike team had been waiting for. Using a captured Meridian shuttle, they approached the disabled command ship, bypassing its weakened defenses. Their mission: reach the central core and seize control of the vessel's primary systems. What they found inside would change humanity's understanding of both the Meridians and their own place in the cosmos forever. The counterattack. 3 years after Darkfall Day, Earth was a planet transformed. The initial Meridian invasion had claimed nearly 1 billion lives, but humanity had not broken. Instead, they had gone underground, both literally and figuratively, building a resistance network that spanned continents. Captain Ilara Way, now General Way of the United Earth Defense Force, stood in the central command chamber of what had once been Oslo. The former city was now an underground fortress, protected by layers of electromagnetic shielding based on reverse-engineered Meridian technology. "Status report," she requested, surveying the global holographic display. Colonel Sharma, formerly Communications Officer Ravi, gestured to the highlighted zones across the tactical map. Meridian mining operations have intensified in resource-rich regions. They've stripped most of Australia and Central Africa down to bedrock. Our estimates suggest they've extracted nearly 30% of Earth's rare earth elements and 15% of our water. Dr. Chen, who now led the Scientific Resistance Division, added grimly, "At current rates, they'll render the planet uninhabitable within 8 years. Whatever they're building with our resources, it's massive in scale." The Meridians had maintained orbital supremacy despite the Resistance's best efforts. Their ships controlled the skies, while their biomechanical drones handled surface operations. Human victories remained small and temporary, sabotaging extraction equipment, rescuing prisoners from processing centers, preserving knowledge and technology from before the fall. But something fundamental had changed in recent months. The meridians were becoming sloppy. Drone patrols followed predictable patterns. Resource shipments traveled unprotected. Outposts operated with minimal security. "They think they've won," Commander Jackson observed during a strategy session. "They don't see us as a threat anymore." "Or they're running out of resources themselves," suggested Dr. Okafor, who had become the Resistance's foremost expert on meridian behavior. "Notice how they're not deploying new ships, how they've consolidated operations rather than expanding. I think they're stretched thin." The theory gained credibility when Resistance operatives in Eastern Asia reported a crashed Meridian shuttle. Unlike previous wrecks, this one hadn't been immediately recovered by Meridian salvage teams. A rapid response force secured the site, and what they found confirmed Dr. Okafor's suspicions. The shuttle's power systems showed significant degradation. Components that should have been pristine were corroded, circuits partially melted. Most tellingly, the quantum crystalline matrix that formed the heart of Meridian technology was clouded and fractured. "Earth is killing them," Dr. Chen announced after analyzing the recovered technology. "Our planet's natural electromagnetic field is incompatible with their systems at a fundamental level. The longer they stay, the more their technology degrades." This revelation sparked Operation Thunderstrike, humanity's most ambitious counterattack plan yet. If Earth's natural magnetosphere was harmful to Meridian technology, an artificially amplified field could be devastating. The plan required a global network of magnetic pulse generators, synchronized to create a resonance wave that would amplify Earth's existing field 100-fold. The engineering challenges were enormous, requiring components that could only be scavenged from Meridian technology itself. For 6 months, Resistance cells worldwide conducted increasingly bold raids on Meridian outposts, acquiring the necessary materials piece by piece. Each success seemed to confirm their theory. Meridian response times were slowing, their adaptive capabilities diminishing. "They're dying," Ilara realized during a particularly successful operation in what had once been Shanghai. Not just their machines, the Meridians themselves are being affected by Earth's environment. Through captured drone footage, they observed Meridian archivists, once elegant and luminescent, now moving sluggishly, their prismatic eyes dulled, their exoskeletons showing signs of structural failure. The invaders who had seemed invincible were succumbing to a planet they couldn't fully conquer. The final component for Thunderstrike came from an unexpected source. A Meridian scout ship, investigating anomalous energy readings near the former South African coast, was lured into an ambush. Rather than destroying it, Resistance forces managed to capture it intact, along with its quantum core. With all pieces in place, humanity prepared for what might be their final stand. If Thunderstrike failed, they lacked the resources for another attempt on this scale. The Meridians, weakened or not, would eventually strip Earth bare and move on. The night before activation, Ilara visited the underground memorial in Oslo, a vast wall inscribed with the names of those confirmed dead since the invasion. She found Dr. Chen there, tracing her fingers over a section dedicated to the Horizon's crew members who hadn't survived. "Do you ever wonder if we led them here?" Chen asked softly. "If we somehow triggered all this?" Ilara considered the question. "I think they were always coming. We just accelerated the timeline before they were fully prepared for Earth's unique properties. Tomorrow will tell us if that's enough of an advantage." Thunderstrike began at dawn, with simultaneous activations of pulse generators on every continent. The effect was immediate and visible. The sky rippled with electromagnetic disturbances, creating aurora displays that reached the equator. Earth's magnetic field, normally invisible, manifested as visible waves of energy that pulsed outward from the planet. In orbit, Meridian ships reacted with obvious distress. Several smaller vessels immediately lost structural integrity, their crystalline hulls shattering as quantum coherence failed. Larger ships attempted to retreat to higher orbits, but the amplified field extended far beyond its normal boundaries. Through hastily repurposed satellites, Resistance Command watched as ship after ship failed, drives shutting down, hulls darkening, orbit decaying. On the surface, Meridian drones simply collapsed, their controlling signal severed. For the first time in 3 years, humanity had achieved orbital superiority. But the flagship, the massive command vessel that had directed the invasion from the beginning, remained partially functional, using some unknown technology to maintain a protective field around itself. "They've adapted," Commander Jackson noted grimly. "If they survive, they'll develop countermeasures." "Then we don't let them survive," Ilara decided. "Prepare the Artemis for immediate launch." The Artemis was humanity's secret weapon, a hybrid vessel combining Earth's most advanced pre-invasion technology with reverse-engineered Meridian systems. Built inside a mountain over 3 years, it represented humanity's hope for eventually reclaiming the stars. Ilara personally led the assault team, along with Dr. Chen and a squad of soldiers with the shield trait, whose natural resistance to Meridian technology made them ideal for boarding operations. They launched during peak electromagnetic disturbance, using the interference to mask their approach. The Meridian flagship hung in low orbit, its once brilliant crystalline structure now dulled and fractured. Only its central core still glowed with internal energy, the command nexus where the highest-ranking archivists would be coordinating whatever desperate measures they could muster. The Artemis docked with minimal resistance. The Meridian defense systems were either offline or dedicated to maintaining the ship's integrity against the electromagnetic storm. Ilara's team breached the hull and advanced toward the central core, encountering only sporadic resistance from failing security drones. The command center was a cathedral-like chamber dominated by a pulsating crystalline structure. Around it stood 7 archivists, the last functional Meridians on the ship. Their once luminescent bodies were now grotesquely transformed, with cracked exoskeletons and dimmed compound eyes. "You've destroyed us," said one, its voice a rasping approximation of human speech. "A primitive species with primitive technology. You started this war," Ilara replied, "weapons trained on the aliens. You attacked a peaceful planet. We had no choice." The lead archivist gestured to the central crystal. "The collective demanded resources. Your world was ideal, rich in materials, inhabited by an intelligent species for testing, but not advanced enough to pose a real threat. You underestimated us," Dr. Chen said. "Yes." The alien seemed almost admiring. "Your adaptive capacity exceeds anything in our archives. Most species, when faced with overwhelming technological superiority, simply surrender. You evolved. Weaponize your very planet against us." "Why Earth?" Ilara demanded. "There are uninhabited worlds with similar resources." The archivist's compound eyes flickered, their equivalent of laughter. "You still don't understand. The resource we primarily sought was not material, it was biological." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "The shields, the humans resistant to your technology." "Precisely. Your species contains a genetic anomaly, a neurological pattern that naturally disrupts quantum coherence, the living weapon against our technology. The collective feared you might eventually develop interstellar travel and discover this advantage. We were sent to harvest these specimens and eliminate the threat." The revelation hit Ilara like a physical blow. The invasion hadn't been about mining or conquest. It had been about fear. Fear of what humans might become. The resonators, she realized. They weren't just to disable our technology. They were to identify individuals with resistance. The first phase of collection, the archivist confirmed, before extraction and study. But we miscalculated. Earth's electromagnetic field was stronger than our surveys indicated. Our technology began failing almost immediately. We accelerated resource collection, hoping to complete our mission before total system failure. A violent shudder ran through the ship. Warning lights flashed across alien displays. "Core destabilization imminent," announced a synthetic voice. "Catastrophic failure in 3 minutes." The archivist made a gesture of resignation. "You've won this battle, humans, but the collective spans thousands of systems. They will come to investigate our failure." Ilara exchanged glances with her team. How long do we have? Standard protocol is 50 cycles, approximately 30 of your years. But your victory here may accelerate their timeline. They fear your kind now, with justification. Another shudder, more violent than the first. Parts of the ceiling began to collapse. We need to go, Commander Jackson urged. This whole ship is coming apart. Ilara made a split-second decision. We're taking one of them with us. And the core data crystal. She pointed to the smallest archivist. You're coming with us. The rest can choose, surrender and help us prepare for what's coming, or stay and die with your ship. In the chaos of evacuation, 3 archivists chose to accompany the humans. The others remained with their dying vessel, maintaining what dignity they could in defeat. The Artemis detached minutes before the flagship's core went critical, the resulting explosion visible worldwide as a brief second sun in Earth's sky. The war wasn't over. Meridian outposts remained on Earth's surface, now operating independently without central command. But the balance had shifted decisively. Without orbital support, these remnants could be systematically eliminated. More importantly, humanity had gained crucial knowledge. They weren't alone in the universe, and not all alien species would be hostile. But there was a power out there, the Meridian Collective, that feared them enough to attempt genocide. They had 30 years to prepare for the next invasion, 30 years to rebuild, to adapt Meridian technology to human needs, to establish defenses beyond Earth, perhaps even to take the fight to the stars. In Oslo's Central Command, newly renamed Victory Hall, Ilara addressed the global resistance leadership. On screens worldwide, humans emerged from hiding to see the sky free of Meridian ships for the first time in 3 years. Today marks not just our liberation, but our evolution, she told them. We faced extinction and instead became stronger. We've inherited both a tremendous responsibility and an unexpected advantage. The universe knows about us now, knows what we're capable of when threatened. The Meridians came to eliminate what they feared we might become. Instead, they've ensured we will become exactly that. Dr. Chen, working with the captured archivists, had already begun translating the data crystal's contents, star charts, technology schematics, and most valuably, locations of other species who had resisted the collective. We won't just rebuild, Ilara continued. We'll reach for the stars with purpose, not for conquest, but to find allies, to build something better than the collective. A true community of worlds based on mutual respect and cooperation. She looked out at the assembled leaders, their faces bearing the scars of 3 hard years, yet filled with renewed hope. The Meridians called their invasion the Containment Protocol. They sought to contain what they saw as humanity's dangerous potential. In response, we created the Resilience Protocol, our path to survival. Now we create a third protocol, one that will define our future. The Ascension Protocol. We will rise from this devastation, stronger and wiser than before. And when the collective returns, they won't find the primitive species they sought to exterminate. They'll find humanity ascended, a force not even the stars will wish to challenge again. As dawn broke over a liberated Earth, humanity began its next great evolution, from survivors to explorers, from victims to champions, from the hunted to the guardians of something new and precious. A vision of galactic cooperation founded in the crucible of Earth's most desperate hour. The war that had been meant to contain humanity's potential had instead unleashed it, and somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, the light of that potential was already reaching worlds that would soon know humanity's name, not as conquerors, but as liberators.